know which path you're on for writing. It's very helpful. All paths for writing are good, whether it's you're just writing for yourself, whether you want to be on the bestseller list, or if you're somewhere in between.
Right.
So if you know what your goals are, it'll help you along the way.
That was M.A. Koontz sharing her advice with writers who are new to publishing. Stay tuned to hear more about Marianne's journey as a writer on Pages of Voices. I'm your host, Meg Bell. We'll be back after the intro. Welcome to the Local Author Podcast, sponsored by the Allen County Public Library. This podcast is dedicated to featuring the works of talented authors within our community and highlighting their unique voices and perspectives. Today's author guest is M.A. Koontz. M.A., a.k.a. Marianne, enjoys writing fiction set in the Midwest. She is the author of the Darla Kelly Mystery Suspense Thriller series. In addition, she has co-authored 3 children's chapter books with her granddaughter, Haley Landreth, a member of both the Sisters in Crime National Organization and its Indiana Speed City Sisters in Crime chapter. Her short stories have been published in Speed City Sisters in Crime anthologies, including The 2020 Club, in Murder 2020, and An Eerie Bump in the Road, and Trick or Treat, Tales of All Hallows Eve. She currently resides with her husband in Fort Wayne, Indiana. Welcome to Pages and Voices, Marianne. We're so glad you could join us today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So you're going to share a reading from book 1 of your Darla Kelly Mystery Thriller series titled Shards of Trust. But before you do, I'm going to tell our listeners about it. When Darla Kelly wakes up in a hospital, confused, disoriented, and alone, she can't help but add it to the list of personal tragedies that have left her reeling. First, her beloved father, a well-respected cardiac surgeon, suspiciously drowns, leaving her alone without family. And when she lands in the hospital, floating in and out of consciousness, Dar struggles to recall the car accident that put her there. She begins to see her past sheltered life as some pleasant, shattered illusion. But when she's kidnapped from her hospital bed and unable to fight back, Dar fears the worst. She must escape, but someone is trying to kill her captors. Not knowing who she can trust, Dar's search for answers causes her to stumble into the center of a major medical conspiracy, one that, if left unsolved, will result in countless children's deaths and possibly her own. Marianne, the mic is yours.
Thank you. This takes place at Reed Memorial Hospital in Reed, Indiana. I had no idea how much time passed, but once again I tried to force my eyes to focus. It was a lost cause. The face with the soft edges hovered over me. Did this person leave my side? Something familiar teased at the edge of my consciousness, then disappeared. This stranger's presence somehow comforted me and scared me at the same time. How are you feeling? You really had me worried for a while. The voice was definitely male, and he sounded genuinely concerned. Thank you for helping me was all I could muster. Then I frowned. In the back of my mind flashed a feeling that there was something I needed to be doing, something urgent. If only I could bring it to the light of day. My head slumped sideways, and through a tiny slit between my eyelids, I caught a glimpse of a cart or table being moved to my left. Suddenly, the movement was no longer a cart, but a gray vehicle coming from out of nowhere. I could hear the sound of metal crashing into metal. Sucking in air, I squeezed my eyes shut, but when I opened them, I saw only a bed table coming to a halt at my side. I needed to go somewhere, but I had no idea where. Clumsily, I tried to inch myself up on the bed. The elbow I leaned on, a mere inch above the bed, shook uncontrollably, and my head began to spin. The sensation put me in my car again, spinning out of control. I could hear the gravel zinging into the undercarriage of my red convertible, tires sliding across gravel on the shoulder of a rural road. I felt myself hurtling down an embankment with a huge oak tree in my path. I flung my arm across my face for protection and screamed. Gentle hands now guided me back onto my pillow while my heart raced in my chest. What caused me to spin? There was some sort of impact. Where was I going? She needs to rest, I heard a female insist. I agree, a husky voice replied. We have to get her better before we can move her. Move me? Why? I tried to think, asked my questions out loud, but my head ached and a thick fog encompassed my thoughts, growing until darkness covered the last glimmer of light.
Thank you for sharing. So I do want to talk about the book, but like always, I want to start at the beginning of your writing journey.
Okay.
So you have a varied background with a bachelor's and master's in social work, but then you took some writing courses along the way and began writing children's short stories for a newspaper in the Chicago suburbs. And then later you wrote short stories and articles for magazines as well. And then in 2017 you retired, took care of aging parents, and then squeezed the writing in when you could. So obviously, you've enjoyed writing.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. So is that a lifelong love of writing? Do you remember when it started?
It really was a journey.
Okay.
I had started on a different path, but writing all along was something I enjoyed. It was from writing in a diary to writing letters. I wrote letters to cousins and, to my sister when she went off to college. Even in high school, we had no words to our school song the first year, so I got my sister to work with me, and we came up with words to the school song. And
that's awesome.
We didn't have the music, so of course they had to change some things. But,
yeah, sure. So that was for high school or
high school? Yes.
Where did you go to high school? Was that around here?
Wayne, Wayne High School.
So you wrote the Wayne High School song?
Not all of it. Like I said, they did have to change it, some of it. But yeah, I was especially
really
proud of the words, the spirit tied with unity, because it got off to a rough start when the school started.
So how old were you when you did that?
Probably 16.
I love that. I love that confidence that you did that. That's great. So when and where did you take the writing courses then?
It was in the early 90s at the Institute of Children's Literature, and they paired you with an author and the assignments. Each one, you had the feedback. It was kind of like having a developmental editor and a copy editor at the same time, with a lot of encouragement along the way and
I love
guidance, that one-on-one guidance. It was
Absolutely.
Great. It was really fantastic.
And that was in the Chicago area that you did that?
Yes, when I was in the Chicago area. But
okay.
It was an online course, though.
Oh, so is this course still available today? Can people still do this?
I believe so, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's good information for listeners to have if that would be something they'd be interested in. I would love that. It sounds like an MFA, because I know with MFA you get attached to, they give you like an advisor, and then you go back and forth with them about your writing. So it's nice that you have that one-on-one accountability.
It was wonderful. It really was. I felt very confident then when someone asked me to write children's stories for a local newspaper. The only difference is that I had a time limit, a deadline, word count limit. So that was something I hadn't had in my courses. So had to adjust to that.
Yeah.
And with the magazine writing, that kind of stemmed from my mom had a favorite magazine when she was in the nursing home. And so I wanted to write something that she could relate to. And that was Grandpa's Barn. They retitled it My Heavenly Hayloft.
Aw.
And it was her parents' barn in the story. And it was also during Sandy Hook, so that was about a child's grieving in a different way.
Okay.
than
Yeah.
adults, so it was kind of a twofer.
Absolutely. Yeah. I wrote a story about my grandparents for the season's readings last year here about their farm in Appalachia, Ohio, when I was growing up. And so I don't know, there's something about writing about grandparents and their barn and their farm
Right.
it's very touching, that I feel like appeals to a wide variety of people.
Right, good memories. And
Yeah.
it was funny because they had to edit it to fit the page, and she was so upset because her favorite part didn't get into the story.
That is
And
a
I said,
bummer.
well, you have the original copy, so you're good.
Yes, that's right. You have the part that counts. Well, I felt silly during season's readings. I started to cry at the end of the story,
Oh,
talking about my grandparents at the holidays. It was like, oh, for Pete's sakes, Meg.
sign of a good story.
Yeah, that's right. It was touching. It was touching. So, do you? I know. Okay, so I'm kind of jumping around here, but do you recall how old you were when you wrote your first story?
Probably around 10.
Okay.
And I have to preface this with my dad was a great storyteller. He was not the best at writing or spelling, but he was a fantastic storyteller. And quite often there was a lot of exuberance and, fanfare that went along with the stories. And quite often they were about some of the pranks he pulled. And others. So when I came home from school, I had written a story about one of those pranks he pulled. He didn't even notice the A+ on my paper. He was so mortified.
Oh, that's so funny.
So that was my first experience with a story. It can have consequences.
That's right. You never know what kids are going to write.
That's right.
Well, you got an A+.
There we go.
So, were you also an avid reader growing up?
Oh, I was.
Okay.
I was. I was one of those kids that would stay in bed on a Saturday morning and
Me too.
read for a while. We had a bookmobile that came to our neighborhood and loved those. Those were great. Always had something there. And even, I think as a teenager, it was kind of unusual. I read Gone with the Wind or
Me too.
Grapes of Wrath over the summer. And
Yeah, same. Yeah, I read Gone with the Wind in junior high.
wow.
I know.
I'm impressed.
I think back on that now, and I'm like, that was such a huge book to read at like 13. And did I understand anything that was going on? Because I don't know. I don't know if I did. But anyways, I read it. But I read, I was always an advanced reader. So I guess like I was reading V.C. Andrews in like 6th grade. I had older sisters that read V.C. Andrews and they were like, you should read these books. These are really good. And my mom didn't know I was reading V.C. Andrews. So she was buying me Sweet Valley High books. But I was reading everything.
Oh,
So I was
well, that's
always
great.
really advanced. Anyways, I feel like I'm talking a lot about myself.
No,
Back to
I love it.
So, do you remember what you read?
From those two books?
Or from like everything else? From like you were reading Gone with the Wind, Grapes of Wrath. Were you reading like Nancy Drew as well, or
Definitely.
So nothing was off the table?
No, I just loved the variety of things to read, and even when I started getting into the niche of reading mysteries, I think Friends of the Library here had sponsored Jamie Ford.
Yeah.
With one of his books, historical fiction.
I got to work on that project. I got to work on bringing him in. I got to meet him and go to dinner with him.
Oh, wow.
He was a lovely human. He's a lovely human being.
Well, I was so surprised at his sense of humor. I really enjoyed that. But he brought me to love historical fiction. So I really appreciated that.
Yeah.
And you've had workshops here, like Lori Rader Day came. And I just love, I'm kind of a lifelong learner.
Yeah.
I think
nothing
any
wrong with
way
that.
that I can learn something new, I'll latch onto it.
Yeah. Sure.
Even I've discovered if you follow certain authors, they will provide videos or podcasts on different writing crafts.
Oh, nice.
And I like that, the techniques. It can be a variety of topics, but for example, Jane Cleland, she provides that. And,
Okay, I'm gonna write
And
this
they're very often for free.
Jane
Cleland.
like
Cleland.
D. Okay, I'm going to write that down. Okay, that's great information. I didn't know that.
And Sisters in Crime organization, they offer, they have speakers they bring in for members, and they also have topics of.
Is that local?
Right.
That's local, isn't it?
Well, it's a national organization, and they have local chapters, different places. So in Indiana, it's in Indianapolis.
Okay.
But there's one in the Chicago area as well.
So is the Speed City Sisters, is that a part of that, or is that different?
It's the local chapter.
It is the
for
local.
Indiana chapter.
Okay. Because we do have some of those books on the local author display, the Speed City Sisters. They've come to the author fairs when we've had those in the past. So, okay. So why did you begin writing mystery suspense thrillers? What led you to that?
Oh, well, that's a good question. I think I always loved puzzles.
Mm-hmm.
And besides reading quite a few mysteries, I like to see if I could figure it out, to solve that mystery before I got to the end.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I guess I was more thrilled if I couldn't.
Yeah.
That meant,
kinda
this
takes the
is
fun
really
out of
good.
it, doesn't it?
I like the twist,
Uh-huh.
that kind of thing. And I also realized that so many of the authors that wrote mysteries had different styles to them. I think of Agatha Christie, Janet Ivanovich, Sue Grafton, Louise Penny. They all had their own style. I guess you could say that about any genre. But so I thought, well, maybe there's a hope that I could hone my skills to have a certain writing style that people would like.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm a work in progress.
We all are. Okay, so you created the fictional setting of Reed, Indiana for your stories. Did you base Reed off of any town, or how did you come up with it?
Not really. It was more of just a general idea of a mid-size city in Indiana.
Okay, all right, that's fair. So how did you create your characters? Or how do you create your characters?
Well, with Darla Kelly, I wanted her to be someone who was struggling with her own issues while she's trying to solve these mysteries that she's kind of getting thrown into.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
She's
she's
very
not asking
unlucky.
Yeah.
So she does. But you do see a growth with her through the 3 books.
Mm-hmm.
So she's not stuck.
Yes.
And
So I was going to ask, though, how long had you been thinking about writing? How long did you have Darla Kelly in your head? Like, had she been ruminating there for a while before you put it down? Or did she, evolve as you were writing?
There was some idea of her in my head and the story. But I think one of the best things I did, I hired a developmental editor for my first book. I highly recommend doing that, especially if you're not familiar with the book industry, the publishing industry. It is a great idea. My learning curve was huge. And I hired Lauren Taylor Shute, and she was so patient with me. She, the jargon even.
Sure, absolutely.
It was all brand new to me. So,
is she local? Was Lauren local?
Actually,
is this an online thing?
No, she is from New York.
Okay. How did you get connected with her?
My niece is an editor. She's at one of the magazines in New York.
Well, that's fascinating. Good for her. That's fun.
Yes. And she had gone to school with Lauren, and Lauren was striking out from a publishing industry to her own business. Mm-hmm. And she had recommended Lauren to me.
Okay.
And her business is growing now, so
sure.
Good for her.
Yeah. Yeah, so if somebody would try to contact her, she could probably lead them to somebody else if she's too busy. She probably knows other people that do the same thing. Right.
And she has a larger staff now, so she can
take on more.
Accommodate more people. Right.
Okay.
Right. And she has a soft spot in her heart for new authors.
Uh-huh. Say her name again.
Lauren Taylor Schutte, Shutte.
Okay.
Oh, but she just got married, so I'm sorry. I don't know her married name.
I'm sure if they Googled that, though, it'll probably get them where they need to be, right?
Right.
So you start the series, the Darla Kelly series, with Shards of Trust. So this is when Darla wakes up in the hospital following a car accident. She is then kidnapped from her hospital bed and learns that she's at the center of a major medical conspiracy, one that, if left unsolved, will result in countless children's deaths and possibly her own. We catch up with Darla in your second book, The Cry Beyond the Door, where she is delving deeper into her recently murdered father's decision to hire a PI secretly before he died. As she investigates her father's secret, bizarre things start happening to her and murders start to multiply. Answers await her if she can stay alive long enough to find them. And so then you end, at this point, you've ended the series with Maze of Deadly Deception. Darla is shocked when she learns that she was the last person to speak with the CFO of a local children's hospital before he is found dead. And when a detective begins asking her probing questions, she can think of only one reason for it: murder. When someone she knows is kidnapped, saving their life is all that matters. Should she accept help from an unlikely source? With no time to consider her options, she is certain of one thing: the wrong decision could prove deadly. So I got all that correct, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. I just wanted to make sure that I had it all right. So did the process change at all while you were writing the books? Did your process change?
Yes. I talked a little bit about the first one. It was kind of chaos because there was a lot of editing. In fact, I ended up editing out an entire chapter.
Oh, okay.
Because I loved the chapter, but it didn't fit.
It's
it
all
didn't
your child,
flow.
right?
Yes.
I know. It's hard to get rid of some of that
That's
stuff.
the hardest thing to do. With the second one, I outlined, and that was a big help.
Okay.
But I still was trying to do, in between that outline, things would grow and change because of what was happening with the characters.
Okay.
So sometimes I would veer off of that outline, but at least I had a basis
Yes.
to start from. The third book had so many details to it that you're going to laugh. I created timelines on what I call my scrolls. And on those I have the chapters, the times, the days, and in color coding I have red herrings, clues.
Wow,
that
that's
type of
very
thing.
detailed. You should be a private detective.
Well, then when I had to change one thing, I'd go back into my scrolls and all the things that I had to change along the line. I'd look for them, but it was pretty funny.
That sounds very involved.
It was. It was. I know there's so many software programs, but, you know, for me, I just enjoyed having that hands-on.
Absolutely.
It worked for me.
Yeah, sure. How long did it take you to write each book?
Probably a couple years.
Well, the last one's quite a bit bigger than, right? It's like double the size.
Right.
So still just a couple of years on that one?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
It was a little different for each one, but the third one seemed to flow so much more easily for me.
Mm-hmm. You had some practice under your belt.
Yeah, maybe that was it.
Yeah, that's right. So is Darla Kelly's story finished? Are we going to be reading more about her in the future?
Ooh, that's a good question. I'm not sure yet, but I got to say there is something teasing at the back of my mind.
Oh, boy.
So we'll have to see. Right now, I just finished with the release of the third children's book.
Yes.
The Flash and Dash Pet Parade with my granddaughter. And
Yes.
now my other granddaughter wants to write a
I was wondering. I thought when I was reading about that and looking at these, I thought, I wonder if she has other grandchildren and they want to do the same.
Oh yeah, and totally different. I think hers is going to be quite different from these. So I'm excited.
Well, that's
excited for
wonderful.
that.
What a wonderful thing for wonderful memories that they'll have of doing that with you. And then they have something tangible that they'll have forever. That's so cool. I love that.
Right. And to have someone say that their grandson was reading to them from our books every night.
Yeah.
And that was something he didn't normally do. That made it all worthwhile, too.
Well, yeah, absolutely. So you have 3 books with Haley. I'm saying her name correct, right?
That's right.
You've got Something Strange at Camp Wonder Woods, and these are all children's books. Maybe, Just Maybe.
That was the first.
That was the first, and then Something Strange at Camp Wonder Woods is the second.
Right.
And then the Flash and Dash Pet Parade is the third.
Right.
So do these follow the same character, or are these all about different people?
They're the same character.
Okay, Kaylee and Dean.
Right.
All right.
And it's the first one starts with her going into 3rd grade and being fearful.
Yeah.
And then, of course, when she gets there, there's a little bit of a mystery. I had to work. We had to work a mystery in there somewhere.
Absolutely. I like it. So your other grandchild, is that a girl?
Yes.
And what does she want to write about?
Hers is, well, she already has a title. We'll see if that stays.
Oh.
But Secret Kids Society.
Oh, so also sort of mystery, solving a mystery maybe?
Yeah, maybe a little more sci-fi.
Yeah. Okay.
Fantasy. Yeah, I'm very excited. She has a great imagination as well, so we'll see. I can't
How
wait.
old are they? These your grandchildren?
Well, this is probably the last one as far as Haley goes, because she's now in middle school, so you know how that.
Yeah.
She's very busy.
Yes.
And
I do know.
And the 9-year-old is the one who wants to write another book, start a book.
Okay. All right.
So, yeah.
Yep. I love that. That's great. Are your books self-published? I mean, you worked with editors you've mentioned, but I saw one of them talks about Book Baby.
Right. The first 2, they had Book Baby had a package deal, so it was the printing, the conversion to ebook.
Oh.
And yes.
They do that for you.
And a wider distribution. So
Okay.
that was sort of the package deal. And then they also had access to for the book cover. You could work with an artist for an additional fee.
Okay. So you pay Book Baby to publish your book, essentially.
Right.
And so if you make money off of the book, do they get a cut of that, or do you get all like profit?
No, I get the money from that.
Okay.
From
All right.
those royalties. Right. And
that was
then the third I
Okay.
did on my own. There were some challenges, and as with everything, that cost has gone up quite a bit. And that kind of influenced how I did my third book. And I had, after seeing how everything was done with the first 2, by the third book, I did my own ebook conversion
Okay.
and worked with KDP.
On the ebook conversion?
I did it through that, yes.
And then where did you get the book bound at? Like, who prints it for you?
KDP.
They do that too.
Yes, yes. You
Okay.
you have to set everything up yourself as far as front matter, back matter, the page setups.
Okay.
So, yeah, it was time consuming and
so you
quite a
wrote
bit
all
of-
this, you created all of this, you created all of this, and you just sent it to them.
right. And
Okay.
in fact, I was searching for a cover that I wanted, and my husband takes off into the garage, and next thing I know, I'm smelling smoke and everything, and I'm like, what is going on? He comes back in with a styrofoam thing with clamps on it, but when he held a flashlight behind it, I was like, that's it. That's what I want. And you would never know.
That's what this is?
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Right. So,
It looks like a cave.
That's what it's supposed to be. A maze of deadly deception.
I love that your husband did that. That is very ingenious.
So
yeah, you wouldn't know. Good for him. Okay. So do you have any advice for writers who intend to self-publish?
Do your research. I recently was at Midwest Writers Workshop in Muncie at Ball State.
Yes.
And I think it was Jane Friedman who was on one of the panels who had said, know which path you're on for writing. It's very helpful. All paths for writing are good, whether it's you're just writing for yourself, whether you want to be on the bestseller list, or if you're somewhere in between. But she said, there's so much out there to access for writers and social media. If you're, shooting for the stars, then, sure, go to all these social media sites. If you're writing for yourself, you don't need to do all that.
Right.
So if you know what your goals are, it'll help you along the way. And I think it was Helen Frost, local writer who I love. She had said something about don't compare yourself to any other author. And it's so important because if you do, you'll get lost along the way and frustrated and kind of probably give up on the first book.
Yeah, you kind of got to have some faith in yourself and your abilities,
Right.
Yeah, stay the course.
And it's okay to make mistakes. You'll learn from them.
Yeah, absolutely. So do you have any advice for writers working on their first book, just writing the book?
Oh, just writing it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, like I said before, I think getting a developmental editor is helpful if you can swing it. I know editors are not cheap, but it pays off in the long run. And also have an editor who will check all your work at the end. No matter how great you think you're doing, they will find something else. And try to get organized. But I know some people are just more comfortable as pantsers, writing by the seat of their pants. And, if that works for you, go for it. Know what works for you, I would say, is the biggest thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so I'm going to move into some fun questions now. So if you could spend the day with another popular author, who would you pick?
A popular author, maybe Louise Penny.
I've met her. You've mentioned her twice. I met her. She is another lovely soul. She was
I would love to meet her.
I met her at Book Expo several years back, and I got a copy of a signed book. And I stood in line, and you had to get a ticket. I stood in line, and she was so gracious. I have a picture of myself with her. I could have talked to her all afternoon. I think you guys would really get on.
Oh, I would love that. I would love that. Oh, the Three Pines mysteries.
Oh, I know.
They're great.
Yes. And I saw her speak before I met her, and she was just as lovely as a speaker as she is writer and human being. So,
I would imagine. Locally, I love talking to local authors.
Oh, fun!
I mean,
great.
We learn so much from each other. Even the writers group here at the library. There's always something I learn when I attend those writing groups.
I love that.
It just, there's so many opportunities to learn from others. So I would take advantage of that.
Yeah, absolutely. What's your favorite music?
Any song I can sing along with. And if I don't know the words, I'll make them up.
So you like a lot of music then?
Oh, I do. I do.
What's your favorite TV show?
Well, I get a kick out of, it's kind of the campy, humorous Murders in the Building.
Yeah, sure.
That's one of them. The Mallorca Files.
I don't know that one.
Oh, I think it's set in Australia.
Oh.
No, take that back. No, it's an island off of Spain.
Oh, okay.
Off the coast of Spain. And then I think there was another one, Dr. Blake Mysteries.
So these are all mysteries. You like mysteries, too, on TV?
I do.
Well, it probably gives you ideas. It all gives you ideas,
Maybe. I guess I just enjoy them and
Yeah,
see if I can
right.
solve them.
So speaking of TV, if Shards of Trust, if Darla Kelly's books were made into a TV series, who would you want to play Darla Kelly?
Oh, wow. I'm so up on 30-year-old talent. I'd be the last one. I was thinking Bailey Madison. She was on The Good Witch and Pretty Little Liars.
Oh, okay. Yeah, sure.
I could. She doesn't. She's not what I would picture the character to look like necessarily, but I could see her acting it well.
Mm-hmm.
The other one would be maybe Haley Steinfeld.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Pitch Perfect 3 and
Mm-hmm.
True Grit. I don't know.
I like both of those. So, what is the number one item on your bucket list, and have you done it?
Outside of writing?
Yeah, outside of writing. We're going to veer off. It's going to be wild.
To see more of the national parks.
Oh, yeah.
And I have plans in the works to do that, so I
Yay.
can't wait.
I don't blame you. That sounds awesome. Okay, so what's next, Marianne?
Well, this December, I've been invited to attend the Indiana Authors Holiday Author Fair at the Eugene and Marilyn Glick History Center.
Yeah, in Indianapolis?
Yes,
Mhm.
yes.
Yeah, that's kind of a big deal.
It is. This is my third time attending, and I'm thrilled and honored. It's a beautiful event.
Yeah, I've heard great things about it.
Oh, I
Yeah.
just love it. I'm just, get goosebumps.
I'm so excited for you to do that again.
Thank you. Thank you. So that's exciting. And like I said, we just finished the third book, so I'm not sure what's in the works next. I've been writing some poetry and trying to see if that's going somewhere or if it's going to be just personal type of thing. I'll have to read one of my short ones to you sometime.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. Marianne, tell our listeners how they might be able to get in touch with you.
Of course. They can reach me through email at maryannkoontz.author@gmail.com, or they can find me on a website. It's www.makoontz.com. And on Facebook, you can look for author M.A. Koontz.
Okay. Well, Marianne, thank you for joining us on Pages and Voices today. It's been a pleasure to have you here.
Well, thank you. I'm so honored to be here. You've been wonderful.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And thank you to those who listened in. Stay tuned for more Authors on Pages and Voices. I'm your host, Meg Bell. Until next time. Thank you for joining us on Pages and Voices, a source for local authors and their stories. From the studios of Access Fort Wayne at the Allen County Public Library in downtown Fort Wayne, Indiana, I'm your host, Meg Bell. A special thank you to Kay Gregg for her work engineering and editing this episode. We've explored fascinating stories and insightful discussions today, but our journey doesn't end here. Find more episodes of Pages and Voices wherever you listen to podcasts. Stay tuned for more inspiring conversations with the area's authors and their insights into the written word. Until next time, keep turning the pages, and we look forward to welcoming you back soon.